This is probably the last balance patch of 10th edition of Warhammer 40,000. The last balance patch of 9th edition was in April 2023, and that lasted until June 2023 when 10th edition was launched. So I expect this balance patch to do the same for 10th edition into 11th edition. So Games Workshop has to get it right. Because this is how the game will be perceived in the future. Not the relatively good balance of like October 2025, but from now to the end. If someone says a year from now that they want to play a game of 10th edition, this right now is the rule set that you will use. If a problem isn't fixed, it is there forever. So in this video, I will talk you through some of the expected changes, why these things are problems and should have changes, and where our main factions sit within the current meta. There are not many changes expected. If you really want a particular unit that is underpowered to suddenly be good, I don't think it's going to happen. Balance is about what works at tournaments and what keeps sales going for model kits. If lots of people bought, Centurions, or they kept going until they had 60 Battle Sisters, it wouldn't matter if they were not strong. There are sufficient sales. At this point in the edition, unless they are too strong, or Games Workshop wants more sales of something, I don't think there will be a change. We recently had a points adjustment when the Maelstrom detachments were released. That was only a few weeks ago. Catan and Ultramarines were doing rather well, so naturally the Imperial Guard Grizzled Company got hit and lost the reroll wound rolls of 1 aspect of their detachment rule. Games Workshop also does these mini updates in between the 3 monthly balance patches, so it can feel like there is a rules update every month. Because there is. And more rules have been coming out for the units that were shown off before Christmas, like the twins in the Tau battlesuits, Stonebrow the Votan Orc Slayer, the Tyrannid Prime with Lash Whip. You know the Tyrannid Prime? The one with better rending claws than the monstrous creature's monstrous rending claws? It's almost like the rules are there to make you want to buy a thing. I think we'll see their points come out in this balance patch. I don't know how generous they'll be with the points. It's a new model, so people may buy it for the cool new model aspect, or if the points are very low for what it can do, more people will buy it. Because it's good. For a couple of months. Unless you had already built your own Tyrannid Prime with Lash Whip. From like previous editions when that was totally allowed. Don't expect points for the new Imperial Knight, which is really 3 armigers and a trench coat, nor the Admech Murder Lady, Thulia Guld, or the Admech Hastari, or Mutilators, or anything else. Things that have been announced, that haven't been given rules yet, will come out in that Eye of Terror book. And I think that will include new points for the Defiler. So although this is the last balance patch of 10th edition, there's still an expansion to come out, and the points for those units will come out in, say, April. The Eye of Terror book is coming soon-ish. The Maelstrom book only came out on the 28th of February, like 2 days ago. It may be a matter of timing. I think the detachments from the Eye of Terror book could come out the same day as the balance patch. It depends if the balance patch is this week, or next week, or the week after. Alternatively, the detachments and points for the units in the detachment could come out in like April. A bit later, because presumably there will be an Iron Warriors themed Chaos Vehicle detachment and an Admech detachment, and a couple of other detachments will be released by Games Workshop online before they come out in paper in the book, kinda making it pointless to buy this expansion book. But my guess is an April or May mini update. And because we've seen in these recent 3 expansion books, the 500 Worlds, the Maelstrom, and the Eye of Terror, this is how Games Workshop is releasing new detachments. So don't expect new detachments for other factions. There could be, but I would be very surprised if there was a new Genestealer Cult or Sisters or Imperial Agents detachment. The every 3 months is a set of 3 new detachments sort of stopped in September 2025, and then we got 6 in December 2025. That was sort of for Grotmas, which felt like they were just gathering content together to release it as something as if it's special, which it wasn't. It was just their usual slew of articles, and they released those 6 detachments, 1 each day, rather than all at once. Then it felt kind of done. Even though we're not done, and not every faction has had an extra detachment on top of the one they got in December 2024. But more detachments would be something else that could potentially add an imbalance. That's assuming Games Workshop cares about balance. I would assume they do in balance patches, but there's other motivations. We could do with other ways to play the sisters, and could do with a Mechanicus-themed Genestealer Cult Bladed Cog detachment. Imbalance has appeared with new things, almost as if the new things are trying to be sold and balance is a secondary concern of the balance patch. The primary concern is, here's rules that are really good and points that are really generous for the brand new models. Oh, won't you buy them? Or get them cheaper through affiliate links. That's also an option. Rather than giving Games Workshop your money directly, give someone else your money directly, and me the money indirectly. Or you can give me the money directly. That is also an option. For balance, you see. Necrosar Amenitar is a bit much. Damage 3 attacks, fight first, lone operative, and an aura of sustained hits on all destroyer units, including himself. He could do with a points increase, for sure. There is a massive number of cheap wounds from the Wardens of Ultramar. We're talking like 20 wounds with invulnerable saves for 90 points. To get something like that elsewhere, that's like a Deathwatch veteran squad of 10 models with storm shields, and that is 200 points for 20 wounds with an invulnerable save. I'm not saying double the points, but something close to doubling the points would make it more appropriate for their ability and stat line. The same for Huron's gang. It's a lot of wounds, it's rather cheap, and the apothecary chappie in that squad can resurrect the other models because they're not character models, so they can be resurrected and healed. The points on those units are too low, but they're new units, so hey, buy them, why not? They're so good, you need them for the next 3 months and then who knows what'll happen to them. So the Wardens have been a big offender for the last few months. The Wardens of Ultramar more than the Masters of the Maelstrom, but not the biggest, because Catan. There are detachments for Catan, there are also just Catan generally. They are absurd to kill. This is a shard of a god, not the god itself. You try and hit them and oh, it has stealth. You try and wound it, it's toughness 11. It has a save, a 3+ save. You hit it with armor penetration, there's a 4+ invulnerable save. You use high damage attacks against it, it has 16 wounds. You do lots of medium damage attacks, it's -1 to the damage. You try and do damage anyway, it has a 5+ feel no pain. Great, so you've hurt it. Well, it regenerates D3 wounds in each of its command phases, and you can heal it again with a Technomancer. You can sort of try to outscore them, but not really. I have a video on how the Adeptus Sororitas can fight big scary units like this, so you can check that out for advice. It's a nasty profile for less than 300 points, and it does a decent amount of damage in the output. And don't be saying anything about the base size. This Deceiver is on a 40mm base, and that is the official tournament size, unlike the Nightbringer, which is on a 90mm base. So that difference is official and totally fine. But if I have a Space Marine Captain on a 32mm base instead of a 40mm base, people lose their minds. Official base sizes clearly don't matter in tournaments, so base size shouldn't matter, but that's a whole other discussion you can be part of in another video. So I would like to see the Catan lose at least one of those defensive aspects. Ideally the Feel No Pain. It's slow to roll and it's essentially an extra -1/3 damage. But random as to how much damage. It could be more than that, it could be less than that, or it could be more than that. And I think they should each go up, say, 30 more points? Perhaps 40 more points? Then people will still take the Catan because of how very tough they are, how very murderous they are. And there are a lot of other Necron troops around the Catan. So if they went up in points and you still want to play lots of Catan, you won't have as much Necron warrior support. And then killing all the other Necrons and taking objectives, leaving only the Catan on a few objectives, becomes a more viable way to fight them. I think the points for Centurion should go up. Why? Just because. And it isn't all about penalties. Some factions do need help, like the Eldari especially are doing badly. They have so many different detachments to play, and they are scraping at best a 50% win rate. I think they need a little bit of points help. Like the Fire Dragon Strike combo went up in points, and the Eldar win rate went down. The new Corsair things are fun, like Advance and Charge Avatar as the detachment affects all Eldar units. Yeah, you could do that, but I don't think there's anything too powerful in these new detachments. Thinking of detachments, the Orc Freebooter crew. That is doing well. This was their detachment in the Maelstrom book, and it has about a 55% win rate. Not a massive number of players, but a 55% win rate. The big thing I can see to change is Deck Fraggers, which gives one of your Orc units the blast keyword on all of their guns. So if you fire a unit of looters at like a squad of 10 guys, that's 2 more shots per looter. If you put it on a battle wagon, every one of the battle wagon's guns gets 2 more shots. But the detachment is generally okay. There's not a great number of players using it. Orcs are mostly playing Warhorde, and that has about a 50% win rate, which is fine. It's a shame the other detachments can't get as much of a boost. People have kept saying, oh yeah, just wait, and soon the best Orc players will use a super powerful detachment, and it'll go amazing, and it just hasn't materialized. Orcs are fine and average. The Dark Eldar are doing alright, with Spectacle of Spite also pushing up a 55% win rate, but that is the detachment that is carrying the win rate of the Dark Eldar. And Spectacle of Spite's ability is based around one stratagem, a challenge met. You charge at the end of the enemy movement phase. So after reinforcements are set up, it makes a 6-inch deep strike kind of pointless. So a unit of like Genestealer Cult Acolytes could be set up, but they will be immediately charged and killed by 5 witches. It's a normal charge roll, so it can fail, but it has a potentially long reach. You can't fire Overwatch at them, it's the wrong phase. You can't fire Overwatch in your own movement phase. You can't use stratagems that make the charge harder, like -2 to the charge, and you can't use stratagems that would cause damage to the enemy that charged you. It's not the charge phase, so you can't use those stratagems. This is a stratagem that could be changed to be something like the Wrath of the Rock version. It happens at the end of the enemy charge phase, and the enemy has to be within 6 inches for you to declare the charge. The ways to balance this stratagem are, well, it already costs 2 command points, so I can't see it going up in command points. So I expect Games Workshop will move it to the charge phase. For the most part, Games Workshop appears to prefer to bring stratagems that are unusual into line. Like the Penitent Host had a surge move. All you had to do was target an Arcoflagellant unit and they could surge into you. You didn't have to hit them, you didn't have to kill one of them, just pointing your guns at them was enough for them to charge you. And the Host of Ascension had a Return to the Shadows. It used to be activated at an unusual time, after they get shot in the enemy shooting phase, whereas other leave and return stratagems are at the end of the opponent's fight phase. Return to the Shadows was changed to be the end of your opponent's fight phase. For the Chaos Space Marines, Huron's Raiders is the new detachment, and it is doing rather well. The low player number is partly because it took so long for tournaments to accept this new detachment, not because it was seen as overpowered, but because the book has only officially come out, so some tournaments are like, it doesn't matter if the rules have been published by Games Workshop Online, we only allow things that have been out in print. Others allowed the detachment, but only like 2 weeks after it was released, so we have relatively low numbers for it, but a very high win rate for that. This is a detachment that doesn't need Huron. You get to pick one of 2 abilities, like the Doctrines. Either all of your infantry can fall back and shoot and charge that turn, or all of your infantry have +1 to hit on all weapons, against everything, for the whole round. And you can always pick that option again in your next command phase. These aren't like Doctrines that deplete. Compare that to the Imperial Agent's best detachment. The Agents can have 1 enemy unit that you get +1 to hit against. Or you can have a bit more objective control and a 5+ invulnerable save on 1 objective. If these were army-wide, like all your infantry have +1 to hit, or all your infantry have +1 objective control and a 5+ invulnerable save when on objectives, it might give the agents enough help to do something competitively. Otherwise, there are brief flickers of the agents doing well. The videos I keep mentioning I will link in a comment at the bottom of this video. We know that the Imperial Agents need an army rule that isn't you can be allied into other factions, because Imperial Knights have that, and their own thing. It would be funny to have it happen right at the end of the edition, but better now than never. Really, I doubt Games Workshop will do any big changes. Oh, they fixed the Genestealer cult Magos, but people would say, why now? If it was so easy, why did you not do it earlier? What took you so long? It's me. I would be people. And when the balance patch comes out, as with any 40k rules in White Dwarf, it's interesting to look at the rules changes and predict 11th edition rules. I've done it for a few videos already, and we saw at the end of 9th edition things like Imperial Guard tanks could shoot out of combat with their weapons, like their turret weapon, but at -1 to hit. Then in 10th edition, we got the big guns never tire rule. For 11th edition, I am genuinely hoping for not too much of a change. I am happy with the state of play within the game we play. I know some people are like, oh, this thing has been terrible since the start of the edition, change it, change it, change it, why haven't you changed it? But I still find 10th edition interesting for my armies. I still have things I want to play with them. There are more expansions, there are more detachments that can come out. There is a lot of scope for development in this edition, or this edition style. And as a creator, I would like the videos I have made, including the Genestealer Cult Detachment series, to last more than 3 months. Not counting tip money that people have given me as thanks, I got about £10 through YouTube for each video so far, which doesn't really cover the effort that goes into playtesting and scripting and rescripting and recording and editing. So codexes being compatible with the next edition, and the videos I've already made being compatible with next edition would be nice. It won't be too long before Games Workshop starts doing 11th edition reveals. The 9th edition reveals started at the end of March 2023, so some live stream which has a trailer maybe at the end of it so people watch the whole live stream just to see the trailer, they could do that in March. It may come sooner than you expect. And then trailers and teasers and reference articles will go on for months. Okay, let's look at the current meta for the factions I'm known for. We're looking at the win rates and the common tactics that keep appearing. Meta is always relative. What you face regularly and what does well playing into your group will be different to others. I point to a time in 9th edition where demons were very popular in Eastern Australia, so Grey Knight players did very well there, but didn't elsewhere. In 10th edition, Death Watch are the most obvious to be able to capitalize on a particular army meta. They have a couple of units that get to reroll hit rolls against aliens, and others that get bonuses against aliens, like their Terminators. So meta is always relative. I have been to 2 tournaments in the last 3 to 4 months. There were no Victrix Guard, there were no Catan, as far as I can remember. Maybe they were on another table back in January when I played my Imperial Agents, but I don't remember any Catan. Which detachment has been around? There were Necrons, but playing other detachments than the Catan one from the 500 Worlds, and with the Genestealer cult available in the UK at a discount through the Combat Patrol magazine recently, their tournament player numbers have doubled. Now there are 2 of us. In the global meta, well, Jeffrey Kolodner's been doing well with pretty much the same army he has been playing for the last 3 years in the same detachment. It's Adeptus Sororitas in the Hallowed Martyrs. Still got a mix of Morven Vaal, Immolators, Mortifiers. It's fast, it's general, and he's a good player. Hallowed Martyrs and Champions of Faith are the main competitive detachments. A wall of 30 Sacrosants with a Hospitaller, so they have a 3+ armor save, a 4+ invulnerable save, and a 5+ feel no pain, and -1 to be wounded, and the Hospitaller can resurrect models. In the Champions of Faith, Sacrosants get more objective control, and have stratagems that work especially well with them. But I'm also seeing this block in Hallowed Martyrs, where you can resurrect the Hospitallers if they get hit by precision, and they go back into the unit as per the rules commentary. Precision as a rule is underrated. It doesn't seem like a lot if you have the power to kill a unit outright, including any characters, but if your opponent has precision, suddenly you're not calculating if they can destroy 6 Necron Wraiths with a 5+ feel no pain and double regeneration. You are checking if they can kill 1 Technomancer. And they can. Characters are a big part of a lot of the powerful combos. If you can knock them out, your life gets easier. Maybe not your life, but your game will get easier. As well as having a counter for precision attacks in the Hallowed Martyrs, the Hallowed Martyrs also has a fight on death stratagem. So if there was something that could break the Sacrosancts in combat, you can fight back before they're removed. And your models count as dead, so from the detachment rule you will get +1 to hit and wound. You are fighting at better than your normal fighting stats. As in the last 2 balance patches, I'm hoping that the Hospitalers points would go up, but the Imagifier's points would come down to compensate, then it helps non-Sacrosant units. I'm not taking Sacrosancts in my competitive army list. I swapped my Sacrosancts in my tournament list to Insidiants, and they are seeing some play. Mortal Wounds are very useful against demons, Anti-Psyker stuff is very useful against big chickens. You know, the big chicken demon? That one? And any other armies and units that rely on an invulnerable save. I like the Insidiants. They could do with a small points drop of 5 points. Otherwise, Dominions may seem a bit better, and if you want fighty stuff, Celestian Sacrosancts also seem a good option. But they're fine. The Retributors could come down in points again. They constantly spring around. They're rarely taken. When they were 105 points, they were taken often. When they were 120 points, as they are now, they're not taken. So 110 points should be fine. Their previous 115 points was okay. I think 110 points might be the sweet spot, Games Workshop. You've tried every other nearby points value. And the Exorcists are of course too expensive, because they're good indirect fire weapons. So I would drop them to 180 points. That'd be nice. The Bringers of Flame detachment is also doing really well. The Army of Faith and the Penitent Host are doing the worst, but I'm not really expecting changes to move the Adeptus Sororitas up or down. The Genestealer Cult are doing okay. No big wins or top tables in recent big tournaments. The best detachment to play competitively is Final Day, and the most popular detachment is the Biosanctic Broodsurge. It has been this way for at least the last 6 months. Big hammers are fun. The detachment is well liked by gentlemen and ladies with big hammers. It got a bit of a boost in September 2025, and it doesn't require you to have a Tyrannid army to play. I have advice on the Biosanctic Broodsurge out recently as to why it can do well, even though it's not my favourite detachment. Final Day can do a lot of shenanigans, as you will see when my Final Day detachment video comes out. January ends when I says January ends. Only when the Star Children arrive does it end. Not that that means other armies don't get a mention. There will still be Adeptus Sororitas videos. All the other Genestealer Cult detachments are working. The Host of Ascension's win rate is a bit lower. It hasn't perfectly gotten over the nerfs of September that hit it a bit too hard. Once Return to the Shadows worked in the same way as Resistance Tunnels, you may be better off playing the Final Day. Once Primed and Ready, that gives you criticals on a 5, became 2 command points, it stopped being the stratagem you just play over and over with great success. But most importantly, once the Primus didn't have full rerolls to hit, the big combo of the Host of Ascension really reduced in power. I would like the Primus to have full rerolls to hit again, but it doesn't seem to need it for the other detachments, and I think Games Workshop will be happy with our win rate. In the last balance patch, we were skipped over entirely, not even getting a mention in the article. We might do so again. We have to be more wary of penalties to the Imperial Guard units hurting our Brood Brothers Auxilia, and changes to the Tyranids that would affect Final Day. But I don't think the Imperial Guard are doing super well at the moment, aside from Rogel Dawns and the already nerfed Grizzled Company, and I don't think the Tyranids as a whole are doing that well. If there were points reductions to some of the Tyranid units that have the Vanguard Invader keyword, that would make the Final Day better, and we could play it until the final day of 10th edition. And then beyond, because it's a rule set on paper and digitally recorded, not like an online game that gets patched or deleted. So it'd be fine. Play it forever. Play whatever you want. The Imperial Agents are unchanged. They're still not very popular. The Imperialis Fleet detachment is nearing a 50% win rate, but it has a very low play rate compared to other factions. This is the most try-hardy, I know how this faction works, best players of the faction, and they can get around a 50% win rate. Maybe they win 4 out of 6 games, but then someone who just wanted to have a go will win 1 out of 6 games, and then you get about a 50% win rate. It's a hard army to use, even with this best attachment. The Deathwatch units aren't doing a lot to carry it, as is the one enhancement that lets you infiltrate 3 Deathwatch teams, or other units, like the Sanctifiers. It's useful to have an infiltrating unit that can also scout, forwards or backwards. I think the Imperial Agent Sanctifier's points cost should be brought in line with the Adeptus Sororitas Sanctifier's points cost. It's currently 100 points to ally out the Sanctifiers to Adeptus Sororitas, or 110 points for the Adeptus Sororitas to have their own version. Maybe don't up the cost of the Sanctifiers for Imperial Agents played within Imperial Agents, but otherwise, the Sisters can get the allied version cheaper. They won't have the Act of Faith, they won't be able to use Miracle Dice or generate Miracle Dice, but it's functionally the same unit, and then 10 points cheaper. That's weird. Now, thinking of the Deathwatch proper, Adeptus Astartes Deathwatch, I have become so very tired of the Black Spear Task Force as the main way to play the Deathwatch. It was the Index 1 detachment for a year and a half, then we had 6 months of Imperial Agents when there was no Index, and then we got Index 2, Black Spear Task Force 2, which is the same as Black Spear Task Force 1. So I've moved to the Bastion Task Force for advance and shoot and charge, and fall back and shoot and charge and advance and do an action on like everything. Add in 10 Terminators with a Librarian in Terminator armor, giving the unit sustained hits and the Hero of the Chapter enhancement, so they are battle line and they can advance and shoot, and if they or something else hits the unit they're going to charge in the shooting phase, if you charge it, you get to reroll hit rolls of 1 against it in the fight phase. And you get to reroll that charge on the Deathwatch Terminators. That makes a 9-inch charge even from Deep Strike more viable, but you mainly land 9 inches away for the shooting. In the army I took to the last tournament, 4 games over 2 days, 85% of my army was battle line. It's fun. This was my 2,000 point army, the tournament was 1,500 points. I like going to slightly unusual tournaments. I'll tell you the list. It was a Librarian in Terminator armor leading 10 Deathwatch Terminators. 3 Cyclone missile launchers would be best, but I had a mix of 1 Cyclone missile launcher, 1 assault cannon, and 1 heavy flamer, because I wanted to use the bits that come on the Terminator sprue, just in case they get box locked in the next edition, assuming that the unit and the army is still supported enough next edition. There's a Judicia leading 10 Deathwatch veterans, 4 hammers, 4 shields, a Librarian with the Eye of the Primarch, which gives you precision, leading a 10-man Decimus kill team, with frag cannons, with big thunderhammers, a lieutenant with combi weapon because it's a Space Marine army, a squad of 5 Deathwatch veterans, a squad of 5 Decimus kill team, 2 squads of 5 intercessors, and 5 assault marines with jump packs. I won my first 3 games, lost in the final, and then I came 3rd, weirdly. And the guy I beat in the first game of the first day came 2nd. His second opponent was the person who came last, because he had 1 loss, 3 wins. It was just weird it was counted not based on win path, instead by the accumulated victory points and how many overall victories you had. So obviously the guy I was playing came first, the only person to win all 4 games. But never mind, we play for fun. And the Terminator brick was very powerful. Johan Testen also has 10 Terminators and Librarian in his Black Spear Task Force. Emil Soderholm in Sweden has the same. In the Black Spear Task Force, you can combine it with the stratagem to set the lethal hits doctrine on them. You've got lethal hits and sustained hits when shooting or fighting. And no one will say that Terminators are underpowered. I don't think their points will be changed. We might see some points changes to the other kill teams. In the Bastion Task Force, I use the Decimus kill team. That's good when enhanced to have all precision on all the guns. But in the Black Spear Task Force, the Fortis kill team is very good. You've got an indirect Vengor launcher, 1 super crack missile, 4 plasma incinerators, 4 strength 5 AP-2 bolt rifles with lethal hits, a bunch of other stuff, and that's 180 points. While the less flexible new Decimus kill team is 200 points. The Fortis kill team is very good for a shooting detachment that is the Black Spear Task Force. The Decimus kill team is kind of half and half, pretty good at shooting, pretty good at combat. And the Aquila kill team for the Imperial Agents could also do with a points reduction if the Decimus kill team is reduced. Please remember, Games Workshop, these are the same. And at one time the Decimus kill team had the Aquila kill team keyword because they were just copied and pasted. But they're different. Slightly different damage on the heavy bolter for no particular reason. But the Deathwatcher felt like a solved army for a long time. army lists for the Blackspear Task Force look the same. And I'm trying to open up new ways to play them, at the very least so that they're viable, and you don't think that the only way to play the Deathwatch competitively is the Blackspear Task Force. This is also something I do with the Genestealer cult. I am in the middle of doing a run of Genestealer cult detachment deep dive videos. The Biosanctity Brood Surge, the Xenocreed Congregation, and the Host of Ascension are out already, and January will not end until Ascension Day and the Star God's arrival. My darlings and viewers, have a great upcoming balance patch in 40k.